Welcome back to my channel. Today's story isn't just another courtroom update, it's a reckoning. A quiet war fought under fluorescent lights and wooden benches. A war between truth and the story the world thought it already knew. The ring of the judge's gavel fades into silence, but it's the stillness that follows that truly deafens the room. The air is thick, heavy with the scent of old wood, ink, and unspoken things. Cameras flash like lightning behind glass doors. Reporters lean forward, pens ready. But inside this courtroom, it isn't fame they're chasing. It's truth. Mary Brown sits poised, calm as stone, but her eyes are anything but calm. They are storms waiting for permission to break. Across the table sits Kody Brown, the man who once called her his first love, now staring into the polished surface of the bench as if the grain of the wood might rewrite history for him. The judge's voice cuts through the stillness. "Mrs. Brown, are you ready to proceed?" Mary nods slowly, her hand trembling only slightly as she opens her folder. "Yes, Your Honor," she says softly. "I'm ready." And with those 3 words, decades of silence finally stand up to speak. This was never how it was meant to end. Not for them. Not for the family that once swore their love could defy law, faith, and logic. But somewhere between cameras and confessions, between vows and television contracts, something shattered. Mary remembers. The laughter. The shared dinners. The nights filled with hope and foolish trust. She remembers Christine's laughter, Janelle's unshakable resolve, and Robin's tears when she first came to the family, swearing she wanted sisterhood, not power. But power changes everything. It starts as empathy and ends as ownership. And now the same women who once shared kitchens and prayers share lawyers, subpoenas, and sealed envelopes. When love becomes evidence, no one leaves innocent. Kody's attorney stands, voice smooth, carefully measured. "Your Honor, we object to the introduction of this DNA evidence. This is a family matter, not a criminal case." Mary's lawyer, a woman whose eyes gleam like sharpened glass, steps forward before the judge can even respond. "With all due respect, Your Honor," she begins, "this isn't just about family. It's about deception, about money, about a legacy built on half-truths and televised lies. Millions were led to believe a fantasy, while the truth was buried beneath contracts and bank transfers." The judge leans back, expression unreadable. "Proceed carefully, counsel," he warns. "We are not here for theatrics." But the irony lands heavy, because that's exactly what this is, a stage where reality television meets real-life consequences. Mary's gaze drifts to Robin. For the first time today, their eyes meet. Robin's hands shake, her lips tremble, her mascara already melting under courtroom lights. For a split second, Mary sees the woman she once loved like a sister, the one who wept over dreams and faith, who begged for belonging. But that version of Robin is gone. What sits across from her now is someone else entirely, a woman who learned how to cry on camera and win sympathy while dismantling everything sacred behind the scenes. The prosecutor hits play. The courtroom dims. Clips from Sister Wives flicker on the screen. Scenes fans once called heartwarming, now reframed as evidence. The show that made them famous becomes the very testimony that might undo them. Smiling confessions, staged apologies, carefully edited family moments. Every clip, every soundbite is dissected. The illusion collapses under the cold hum of truth. Kody's jaw clenches. His reputation, his empire, all of it is crumbling in slow motion. The patriarch who once stood tall in front of TV cameras now looks small, cornered, human. His lawyer whispers something to him, but he doesn't move. Mary slides the DNA report toward the judge. The paper rustles softly, but it may as well be thunder. It's not just evidence. It's revelation. The whispers begin immediately, the kind of whispers that fill a courtroom like smoke. Reporters scribble. Cameras zoom in. The truth that was once sealed behind family walls now bleeds into public record. Mary doesn't gloat. She doesn't flinch. Her testimony is calm, clinical, but her words cut deep. She names the betrayals one by one, the secret bank accounts, the diverted TLC payments, the land deals at Coyote Pass that excluded everyone but Kody and Robin. She tells the court how family funds became private property, how loyalty was used as leverage, how spiritual wives became financial liabilities. Each statement is a stone laid carefully, deliberately, and Kody's kingdom begins to crumble under its own weight. Outside, the world waits. Fans scroll, journalists speculate, hashtags trend. But inside, the truth is quieter, sharper. When Robin takes the stand, her voice trembles, her eyes wet. She talks about faith, about vision, about the love she still believes in. But every word sounds like an echo of the woman she pretended to be. And then the prosecutor interrupts, asking her to identify a signature. A document appears on the screen. Her handwriting. Her authorization for a transfer. One that moved over $136,000 from a shared family account into a private trust under her name. Robin goes pale. Kody's face falls flat. The silence returns, but this time it isn't peaceful. It's verdict heavy. The judge looks over the documents, his brow furrowing. "We'll recess for review," he says finally. The gavel falls. Mary exhales, closing her folder. It's over for today, but everyone knows this isn't the end. This is only the first chapter of the reckoning. Outside, reporters swarm. Cameras flash. The world gets ready to feed. But Mary doesn't stop to answer. She walks down those courthouse steps, not as a wife, not as a victim, but as a woman who finally reclaimed her truth. Because when love becomes evidence, justice doesn't need a script. Justice doesn't need a script. What you're about to hear is not just courtroom drama, it's the collapse of an empire. The Brown family's truth has finally gone on record, and what once played like entertainment has turned into testimony. But now, every frame that once felt familiar feels poisoned. Kody grinning beside Robin, his hand brushing hers off camera, Mary standing apart, forgotten, her smile rehearsed but hollow. Christine's irritation no longer looks like jealousy. It looks like prophecy. Inside the courtroom, people shift in their seats. What millions once consumed as reality television has mutated into evidence. Evidence of emotional deceit. Mary's voice quivers as she speaks. "For years," she begins, "I believed what we showed the world was real. I thought we were building something honest. But the truth is, love was never equal in our home. It was selective. It revolved around one woman, and the rest of us were reduced to shadows." The lawyer nods. "And when did you first understand that favoritism had financial consequences, Mrs. Brown?" Mary takes a long, trembling breath. "When I read the trust papers," she says quietly. "When I discovered that every house, every account, every business, even our royalties, had been quietly handed over to Kody and Robin." The words drop like stones. The entire courtroom gasps. Kody's jaw tightens. Robin's eyes fill with tears. The truth doesn't shout here. It whispers. But everyone hears it. Fans had speculated for years about favoritism, but no one ever imagined it went this deep, down to signatures, hidden accounts, and contracts none of the other wives ever signed. Kody squirms, his lawyer rising in panic. "Your Honor," he objects sharply, "this line of questioning is immaterial to the DNA report." The judge leans forward, eyes steady. "On the contrary, Mr. Reynolds, it sounds very material to motive." Mary's lawyer steps closer to the bench, tone sharp, unwavering. "We are establishing a pattern, Your Honor. A pattern of deceit, manipulation, and control." The audience goes still. In that moment, everyone understands. This isn't just a case about family. It's a case about a system that turned love into leverage. Mary wipes a tear before it falls. "I didn't come here for revenge," she says softly. "I came here because truth deserves to be louder than the lies we sold. Sometimes justice isn't about winning. It's about finally being heard." As the day unfolds, each testimony peels back another layer of family life. Silent dinners, unanswered calls, children caught between faith and fracture. Christine's written statement echoes through the room. Every wife eventually found herself alone. Everyone but Robin. Even the judge looks disturbed. He fiddles with his glasses, glancing toward Kody, who no longer resembles the confident patriarch from television, but a man watching his kingdom turn to dust. By the end of the day, the infamous envelope sits on the judge's desk, sealed, heavy, waiting. Inside lies a truth powerful enough to rewrite their entire legacy. Whatever that DNA test reveals, it's already changed everything. The courtroom empties. Robin avoids the cameras. Mary walks past reporters in silence, her heels echoing against marble like the punctuation of a long confession. She doesn't look back. Because tomorrow, the DNA report will be read, and the world that once celebrated their love story will finally watch it shatter. Morning. Cold light spills through courthouse windows. The air hums with whispers. Reporters, lawyers, and spectators buzz with speculation. What could that DNA report reveal? What made Mary's hands tremble like that? Social media burns with theories. Hashtags trend. News vans line the street. By the time the judge walks in, the room is electric. Cameras roll. This is no longer a family. a reporter murmurs. It's a case study in heartbreak. Kody sits stiffly beside his attorney, who mutters strategy into his ear. Across the aisle, Mary holds her daughter's bracelet, a small silver token from before Sister Wives ever aired. Back then, it symbolized hope. Today, it's all that's keeping her steady. The judge clears his throat. Court will reconvene now. Counsel, proceed. Mary's lawyer stands. Your Honor, with your permission, we'd like to read the DNA report into record. The judge nods. Proceed. The clerk opens the envelope, slow, deliberate. One sheet of paper. 2 signatures. One truth that could break everything apart. He begins to read. And then the air changes. The child in question, officially listed as Mr. Kody Brown's biological son, is not genetically related to him. The courtroom erupts, gasps, shuffling, shock. Even the judge pauses, eyes darting from the report to Kody. Robin's head drops instantly. Kody's face drains of color. Mary exhales, a trembling, painful sigh, as though she's been holding her breath for years. The test, the clerk continues, reveals a 0% probability of paternity. Silence follows, not the calm kind, but the kind that devours oxygen. The truth doesn't explode. It implodes, quietly destroying everything around it. The judge rubs his forehead. We'll take a brief recess. But no one moves. Reporters type furiously. Whispers erupt like sparks. The Brown family, once reality TV royalty, has become the centerpiece of a public scandal. Mary closes her eyes, remembering every time she was told she was cold, difficult, unloving, every tear she swallowed when Robin was given preference. And now, proof. This was never about favoritism. It was betrayal, wrapped in the language of faith. When the session resumes, Kody's lawyer tries to fight back. Your Honor, we challenge the validity of this report. There may be issues with chain of custody. The judge's gaze hardens. Counselor, are you questioning the integrity of this court? The attorney falters. Of course not, Your Honor. Mary's lawyer strikes again. Then let's address what this truly reveals. That this so-called transparent family was built on deception. My client was not only betrayed emotionally, but financially and spiritually. She was deceived by those she trusted most. Kody's lips part, but words fail him. His empire of control crumbles. Robin weeps beside him, whispering something no one can hear. Finally, she lifts her head, voice trembling. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she says. It happened before our marriage was legal. I was wrong. Kody didn't know. The courtroom freezes. You lied to me? Kody blurts, voice cracking. You lied to everyone? Robin breaks down. I was afraid, she sobs. You were the leader. Everything was in your name. I thought if the truth came out, it would destroy everything. And it has. The man who preached unity and faith now sits in ruins, his own truth weaponized against him. His silence is no longer power. It's confession. Reporters outside scramble for headlines. Sister wife scandal, DNA revealed, Brown family truth. Inside, the judge restores order. We are not here to punish the past, he says, voice weary, but to determine accountability in the present. He turns to Mary. Mrs. Brown, would you like to continue your statement? Mary nods, her voice steady now. Yes, Your Honor. I doubted myself for years, she says softly. I thought if I just loved harder, prayed harder, I could make him love me back. But you can't fix something that was never true. Her words slice through the courtroom like scripture rewritten in pain. Even those who once blamed her for staying fall silent. She turns to Kody and for the first time looks him in the eye. You made me question my worth. But this report isn't revenge. It's clarity. Kody opens his mouth, but nothing comes. His entire identity, patriarch, husband, father, dissolves in the silence that follows. Christine's statement is read next. I left because peace can't grow in pretense. Then Janelle's. I saw the favoritism years ago, but I called it loyalty. I wish I hadn't. Each voice adds to the reckoning. The unspoken chorus of women who finally decided to stop surviving in silence. When the judge finally adjourns, his gavel lands softly like the end of an exhausted prayer. Court will resume tomorrow. Mary gathers her papers quietly. For the first time in years, she breathes without flinching. She doesn't smile, but there's a flicker of peace. The kind that comes not from victory, but from release. Kody stays seated, staring at the floor. Robin leans against him, but he doesn't move. Their empire, once built on unity, lies in ruin. Outside, reporters swarm. Cameras flash. Questions fly. But Mary doesn't answer. She steps into her car, closes the door, and whispers to herself, "It's finally over." And then, almost like a promise, but endings are just beginnings, disguised as pain. The parking lot erupts in chaos behind her. But Mary doesn't look back. She's already walking into a new truth. The cameras flash like lightning in a storm that refuses to end. News trucks line the street, cables snaking over the pavement, anchors rehearsing lines, microphones thrust into a crowd hungry for chaos. Reporters shout names into the cold morning air. "Mary! Kody, is it true?" But no one answers. Because this isn't Hollywood anymore. This isn't scripted drama. This is heartbreak, televised, dissected, and replayed in high definition. Yesterday's DNA bombshell didn't just explode. It detonated everything. The Sister Wives universe, once a carefully painted portrait of faith, love, and unity, now lies in pieces. The blast left no one untouched. Inside the courthouse, everything feels different today. It's not about love versus loss anymore. It's about what's left after the lies are gone. Kody Brown arrives first. His head is down, his jaw locked so tight the tendons in his neck strain with each step. The man who once called himself a spiritual patriarch now looks like a ghost of his own creation. The curls dull, the swagger gone, the fire replaced with hollow confusion. Behind him, Robin walks with a tissue twisted between trembling fingers. No makeup today. No staged tears. Just exhaustion, regret, and the kind of shame no camera filter can soften. Then comes Mary. Her stride is slow at first, deliberate, steady, but there's a quiet strength in her pace that grows heavier with every step. The courthouse doors part and the whispers begin. Cameras flash and the world leans in. But she doesn't flinch. Her lawyer walks beside her, calm, composed, while Mary's face carries the stillness of a woman who has already fought every battle in private and survived. When the judge enters, the room falls silent. The kind of silence that carries weight, where even the sound of someone's breathing feels intrusive. The gavel strikes once. Court is now in session. Mary's attorney rises. Her voice, clear and controlled, cuts through the quiet. "Your Honor, following the discovery presented yesterday, we request complete financial transparency from Mr. Brown. Every joint asset, every profit earned under the family name." Kody's lawyer springs up. "Your Honor, my client has already—" But the judge interrupts, his tone sharp. "Mr. Reynolds, yesterday your client's credibility took a severe hit. Transparency is no longer optional. It's mandatory." Kody stiffens. He leans toward his lawyer, muttering under his breath, but the tension in his shoulders gives him away. Mary watches him unblinking. She was the peacekeeper once, the one who stayed quiet when everything inside her screamed to leave. But silence doesn't last forever. And when it breaks, it echoes. Finally, Kody speaks, his voice cracking with defensiveness. "This isn't fair. Everyone's turning against me for something I didn't even do." Mary's lawyer doesn't miss a beat. "Then help us see, Mr. Brown. If you didn't do it, who did?" Kody freezes. Robin's hand clamps around his arm, her grip trembling. Denial is easier until truth starts pointing fingers. Then the screens light up. Bank statements, property deeds, contract signatures. The courtroom collectively leans forward as Kody's financial empire flashes in pixels before their eyes. Secret LLCs, production royalties, private transfers to hidden accounts. A gasp ripples through the gallery. Even the judge adjusts his glasses. It's no longer about faith or family. It's about control. Mary's lawyer steps forward again, pointing to a highlighted section. "These accounts, Your Honor, are registered under Mrs. Robin Brown's name. Deposits from the show's network, categorized as individual performance bonuses." None of the other wives were informed. Robin's voice breaks. "That's not true. It was for tax purposes." But the attorney doesn't yield. Her tone stays calm, almost surgical. "And yet, Mrs. Brown, those deposits were labeled as personal income. Not shared assets, not family funds." The courtroom erupts in murmurs. Reporters scribble furiously. Robin goes pale. Kody's face drains of color. And Mary, she doesn't smile. She doesn't gloat. Because revenge isn't a performance. It's the quiet satisfaction of truth arriving without permission. The judge calls for a brief recess. Mary walks into the hall, a swarm of cameras waiting like vultures. Questions fly. "Mary, was this the plan? Did you know?" But she walks straight through them. Her mind drifts somewhere else, to her daughter Leon. to the nights she stayed up wondering if the family she helped build could still be saved. She stayed when everyone told her to go. She believed when belief became foolish. But today, she finally understands. Some endings are liberation in disguise. Back inside, two familiar faces have appeared, Christine and Janelle. They sit quietly in the gallery, not summoned, not required, just present. Christine's gaze meets Mary's for a fleeting moment, a nod, small but heavy with meaning. Not forgiveness, but understanding. When the session resumes, Christine is called to testify. Her voice trembles at first, not from fear, but from the ghost she's about to summon. "I saw it happen," she says softly. "We all did." Whenever someone disagreed with Kody, he'd cut them off, emotionally, financially, spiritually, until the only one left beside him was Robin. And by then, it wasn't a marriage anymore. It was a show. Her words hang in the air like smoke that won't clear. Kody can't look up. Robin dabs her eyes, but the tears only smear what's left of her facade. Because when the people you hurt start testifying and the truth doesn't whisper, it screams. The judge nods solemnly. "Thank you, Mrs. Brown." Christine steps down. Then comes Janelle's testimony, read aloud from a written statement. It's factual, emotionless, but devastating. She details withheld resources, financial manipulation, and promises of love weaponized as currency. By the time her words fade, the courtroom is still again. The man who once claimed to lead his family by faith is now surrounded by evidence, not devotion. And as the day closes, it's clear. This isn't just a trial. It's a reckoning. And for the first time in years, the sister wives aren't competing for Kody's approval. They're standing for truth. They're standing for truth. Today's story continues from the moment the courtroom stopped breathing, when truth became heavier than any verdict. "He always said we were equals." That was Kody's sermon, repeated in interviews, in family meetings, in front of millions. Equality. The word that made him look righteous. The word that convinced them to stay. But Janelle's written statement read differently. Cold ink on white paper. No emotion, just truth. "He always said we were equals," it began, but only one wife ever had access to the accounts. A hush slides through the courtroom like a wind that freezes the room mid-breath. Reporters lean forward. Spectators exchange uneasy glances. The same man who once claimed to guide his family through love and faith now looks small under the fluorescent lights. Kody slumps in his chair. His shoulders sagged, his face drained of color. The empire he built with words and cameras is collapsing before him. Robin sits beside him, her eyes vacant, mascara long gone, hands pressed together as if praying for a miracle that won't come. Then Mary's lawyer stands. Her voice doesn't shake, it cuts. "Your Honor," she begins, "based on these findings, my client is filing for damages, not just emotional, but financial. We are citing fraudulent representation of shared assets and willful deception under the marital agreements." The courtroom stills. Even the air feels different now, thicker, heavier. Everyone knows this isn't just paperwork anymore. It's reckoning. Kody looks up, desperation clawing its way onto his face. "Mary," he says, voice cracking, "please don't do this. We can resolve this. Privately." She turns, meeting his eyes for the first time in what feels like years. Her tone is steady but glacial. "Privately?" she repeats. "That's all I ever wanted, Kody. But you made it public. The day you chose the cameras over your family." The silence that follows feels biblical. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It whispers your own words back to you. By late afternoon, the judge calls for adjournment. But before striking his gavel, he speaks, his voice grave and deliberate. "This case," he says, "is far from over. There are deeper issues here, ones that reach beyond money, beyond fame." Mary nods slightly. She knows. It was never about the money. It was about reclaiming the story that had been stolen and rewritten under her husband's name. As she steps into the corridor, reporters swarm like locusts. "Mary, do you regret the show? Do you still love Kody? What about Robin's child?" She pauses for a brief second, her face calm, her eyes burning with quiet truth. "You can't rewrite the truth once it's spoken," she says softly and walks away, leaving chaos behind her. By evening, the headlines ignite across every screen. DNA scandal destroys sister wives' empire. Mary Brown files damages against Kody Brown. Robin's secret child shocks viewers. But for Mary, none of it matters anymore. Peace has no headline. Freedom doesn't need applause. It begins when you stop performing. That night, rain hammers against the courthouse windows. Morning arrives gray, colorless, like the calm after destruction. The crowd is thinner today. The ones who came for spectacle have gone. Those who remain come to witness closure. Kody Brown sits alone at the defense table. No Robin beside him. Her chair stands empty, a ghost of yesterday's loyalty. Rumors ripple quietly. She's refused to testify, emotionally unwell, unwilling to face the avalanche she helped start. Mary enters quietly, her presence softer today, almost peaceful, but her hands tremble slightly in her lap. Some part of her still hopes for truth, because hope dies slowly, even when love already has. The judge enters and the room rises. This court is now in session. Kody's lawyer clears his throat, voice tentative. Your Honor, my client would like to make a personal statement before cross-examination. The judge nods. Proceed, Mr. Brown. Kody stands, once a self-proclaimed patriarch, now just a man without armor. His voice is low, shaking. I never meant to hurt anyone. The show, it was supposed to be about faith, about family, not about lies or money. I lost my way, maybe, but I did what I had to protect the people I love. His gaze shifts to the empty chair where Robin should be. The silence that follows is deafening. Guilt has a sound. It's the quiet that comes after an excuse. Mary's lawyer steps forward, eyes sharp as steel. Mr. Brown, you claim your actions were for protection, but every financial record shows otherwise. Each transfer, each contract benefited only you and Mrs. Robin Brown. Can you explain that? Kody stammers. Robin had a better head for money. I trusted her. The lawyer doesn't flinch. Even when she hid assets? He hesitates. I didn't know. She opens a folder and holds it up for the court. Then how do you explain your signature on every transfer? The room comes alive, gasps, murmurs, disbelief. Kody's face drains again. The judge leans forward, tone sharp. Mr. Brown, are you suggesting these signatures were forged? Kody shakes his head. No, I'm saying I didn't know what I was signing. The crowd erupts. The judge calls for order. Mary just closes her eyes, remembering every night he said, Have faith in me, Mary. I know what's best. Blind faith, she realizes, was still blindness. Then the doors open. Every head turns. A new figure steps forward, unexpected, familiar. It's Logan Brown, Kody's oldest son. He walks to the front with quiet resolve, carrying a folder of his own. The courtroom buzzes. Kody's breath catches, and Mary sits upright, sensing the tide shift once again. Because sometimes it's not a lawyer or a judge that delivers justice. It's your own child, standing tall enough to face the truth you spent a lifetime avoiding. Tonight, the walls of the courthouse don't just echo, they breathe. The storm outside has quieted, but inside, thunder still lives in the air. Every camera, every whisper, every breath waits for the next word that might shatter what's left of the Brown family legacy. The doors open. Logan Brown steps in, not as a son anymore, but as a witness. He looks older than his years, face drawn tight like someone carrying the weight of generations. His eyes aren't angry as they're exhausted. He walks to the stand without a glance toward his father. Kody shifts in his seat, his jaw locking, but there's a tremor in his hand that betrays him. The oath is taken. The silence is absolute. Even the rain outside has paused, as if the heavens themselves are holding their breath. Mary's attorney steps forward, her voice sharp but steady. Logan, can you tell the court what you found when you reviewed your family's financial records? Logan's throat tightens, but he nods. My father asked me to organize some tax documents last year. He begins, his voice low. That's when I found the inconsistencies. Transfers that didn't make sense. Consulting fees paid to an account in Robin's name. Private accounts labeled under initials, not names. But Mom Mary, Mom Janelle, and Mom Christine, they weren't mentioned anywhere. A murmur ripples through the gallery, gasps, stifled curses. Pen scribbling. Mary doesn't move. She only closes her eyes as if confirming what her heart had already known. And did you confront your father about it? The attorney asks gently. I did. Logan's voice falters for the first time. He told me to mind my own business. That I didn't understand how plural family finances worked. That I wasn't part of that world anymore. Kody shuts his eyes. His lips press into a thin line. But Logan continues, this time colder. He was right about one thing. I didn't understand. Not until I saw what it did to Mom Mary. Not until I watched her break quietly while pretending she was fine for the cameras. A haunting silence falls. No one dares move. It's the kind of silence that doesn't demand, it reveals. Then Kody stands up abruptly, his voice trembling with anger and desperation. That's enough! You think you know everything, Logan? You were raised under the same lights, the same scrutiny. You have no idea what it took to keep this family from falling apart. The judge slams the gavel. Mr. Brown, sit down or you will be removed from this courtroom. Kody's rage burns hot, then collapses under its own weight. His shoulders sink. He mutters a hollow, "I'm sorry, Your Honor," before falling back into his chair, a king dethroned by his own son. Some breakdowns come as tears. Others arrive as surrender. Mary watches, her expression unreadable. She's seen that anger before, behind closed doors when cameras weren't rolling. The fury that used to control, to silence, to dominate. But not today. Today, truth speaks louder. Then, the attorney requests to play one final piece of evidence. A tape. The judge grants it. Static fills the speakers. Then Kody's voice, unmistakable. "We have to keep it quiet, Robin. If Mary finds out, she'll take everything. Don't worry. I'll handle the paperwork the way we discussed." The gallery erupts. Robin's attorney goes pale. Kody buries his head in his hands. Mary doesn't flinch. She's not shocked anymore. She's done being shocked. The lawyer's voice cuts through the chaos. "Your Honor, this recording confirms willful deception, not misunderstanding." The judge nods slowly. "I agree." Kody lifts his head, voice cracking. "I was afraid. I was losing everything. My family, the show, the money. I just wanted something to hold on to." The judge's gaze sharpens. "And in trying to hold it, you destroyed it. Fear doesn't protect love, Mr. Brown, it poisons it." Thunder groans in the distance, echoing through the glass. Mary stands, her voice trembling but resolute. "Your Honor, I don't want him in prison. I just want honesty. I want it on record so no one ever calls what he did love again." The courtroom breathes again, and breaks. The gavel falls. Session adjourned. Verdict tomorrow. Mary gathers her papers. For one moment, she looks at Kody, not with hatred, but with the weary peace of someone who finally let go. He doesn't look back. His eyes linger on Robin's empty chair. Because love can survive pride and time and distance, but never deceit. Outside, rain lashes against the courthouse windows. Cameras flash. Reporters swarm. Mary keeps walking, tears mixing with the rain. In her car, her phone buzzes. A message from Christine. "Proud of you. You finally did it." Mary replies with a single word. "Free." Lightning splits the sky. And for the first time in years, the storm feels like it's on her side. Next morning, the verdict. The courthouse looks smaller now. The chaos has quieted, replaced by exhaustion. Everyone knows. Something irreversible is about to happen. Mary walks in first, calm, steady, radiant. Kody enters seconds later, thinner, his fire gone cold. Robin's seat is empty. Word has spread. She fled the state the night before. All rise. The judge enters. The gavel falls once. The sound isn't loud, it's final. "We are here to conclude the case of Brown versus Brown," the judge begins. What started as a family disagreement has revealed a pattern of deception, greed, and manipulation. This court recognizes not just the financial wrongdoing, but the emotional destruction caused by it. Kody stares forward. His lawyer bows his head. "This is not a verdict on faith," the judge continues. "This is a verdict on accountability." The room holds its breath. Mary exhales softly. Upon review of the evidence, the judge reads, "This court finds Mr. Kody Brown guilty of fraudulent concealment of marital assets with intent to deceive. Restitution is awarded to the plaintiff." Gasps, whispers, shock. The judge continues. "In recognition of emotional distress and loss, Mrs. Brown is granted damages in the amount of $14 million. Mary closes her eyes. She doesn't smile. She doesn't cry. She just breathes deeply, finally. Kody slumps back, whispering something no one hears. The judge's tone softens. "Mr. Brown, you once preached about trust on national television. The irony is that it was the one thing you couldn't keep. I hope someday you find peace, not control." Bang. Case closed. The courtroom erupts. Reporters run. Cameras flash. Voices collide. But Mary doesn't move. For years, she lived under the shadow of a man who called himself her protector. Now she stands in her own light, unguarded, unbroken, free. Christine and Janelle rush to her side, tears falling, arms wrapping around her. They whisper the words that need no explanation. "We survived." Across the room, Kody watches. "Not angry, I'm not proud, I'm just lost. Because the truth didn't take his family away. His lies did. Outside, reporters swarm. Mary, will you forgive him? What comes next? She pauses, voice soft but steady. Forgiveness isn't for him. It's for me. And with that, she walks away into a new life that doesn't need an audience. That night, she sits alone in her quiet home. No producers. No scripts. Just peace. Her inbox floods with messages. Women from around the world thanking her for standing up, for showing that silence isn't strength. One message reads, "You gave us the courage to leave too." Tears fall freely this time. Not of sadness, of release. The TV hums in the background. Justice for Mary Brown. She turns it off. She doesn't need to watch it. She lived it. Far away in a dark motel room, Robin sits alone. Her phone rings, unanswered. A photograph of Kody and the children lies face down on the table. Outside, thunder murmurs softly like regret. Some stories don't end in justice. They end in silence and the ghosts of what could have been. The next morning, sunlight breaks through the clouds. Mary steps onto her porch, the air crisp and new. She closes her eyes, lets the warmth touch her face. "It's done," she whispers. Finally. For the first time, she's not someone's wife. She's Mary Brown, survivor, witness, truth-bearer. And sometimes victory doesn't look like triumph. It looks like peace. Fade to black. Narrator. For years, they called it faith. But when love demands silence and truth demands courage, which one would you choose? Demands silence and truth demands courage. Which one would you choose?